Hello everyone and welcome to another episode. I'm bringing out a lot this week, seeing as though Halloween Horror Nights is over. But we're going to be talking about the houses and going through the anatomy of the houses and all the different scenes in them. And today we are going to start with Slaughter Sinema. So let's get into it. So my most anticipated house did not disappoint. And I don't think it disappointed many of you. I even got myself a nice little t-shirt from the event from it. It wasn't a scary house, but it did have such great detail and was really fun to go through every time I went in. Like I said in the previous video, I did Stay and Scream and I went to Slaughter Sinema first every time. So I was doing that house probably twice a night. Obviously, once you go through it a few times, you don't get scared anymore, but it was a really good house to go through and I loved going through all the different rooms. So the entrance to the house, I was really happy with. This was a nice old school drive-in movie setting, Cary, Ohio, the Cary Drive-In. So it's a theatre which is showing all the latest B movies, a lot of trailers there and maybe some foresight into a house next year, maybe Hive 2. Anyone? There's a lot of really good trailers in it. It must be so much fun to make. There was The Car That Kills. There was The Invasion. There was The Swamp Yeti. There was just so many. And someone off YouTube, thankfully, has filmed this whole segment because it was so long, and when you was in the queue it took a while to go through and you didn't get to see all of the trailers, which I really wish we did, but thank you whoever put that up because I really enjoy watching that and I love all the B movie trailers. But yeah, which one is your favourite one? I know mine was the Swamp Yeti. That's why I got the t-shirt. So let's enter through the house. So as we enter the house, we enter through the concession stand because you know you've got to get your popcorn and your drinks before you go and see your movies. We're greeted by our first scare, which is on our left-hand side. Obviously a swipe open window with a ninja that pops out. Very good scare to start it off, but you can obviously see this coming when you're queuing into the house because it's like a big conga line. So you get this scare quite a few times, but it's a good one to start off with. It sets the tone for the rest of the house. And then the first film we come to is Sorority Sacrifice. So we have two scares in this room. It looks like there's 2 or 3 scares in most of the rooms. But the Sorority Sacrifice girls have tied someone up, which is like a distraction, which is straight in front of us as we walk in. They're tied up. And then another sorority girl comes from behind us and scares us straight away. So that's another great start to the house where you think, oh, there's a scene there in front of us, but yet the scare comes from beside us. That's a really good one. Next scene, we head into a biker bar next to visit the Devil Dogs. This was a really great trailer outside as well. I really enjoyed this one. So the werewolf bikers offer us 2 scares. And yet again, this scene was really amazing. It had a nice old bar scene with like pinball games and a bike in the corner. So there's 2 scares just before our next scene. One comes from behind us and then one comes from around the corner. I think those are 2 really good scares, and the werewolves look pretty good as well. They're not rubbish looking, but they're quite fun. They've got like leather jackets on and everything. So that's a pretty good scene. Pumpkin Guts is next. Really, really disturbing scene. This offers us another 2 scares. It could end up being 4, maybe by the end of it, because the first actor pokes his head out of the boo hole, which is above us, raised above us, and he comes out in our faces. He's horrible. He looks disgusting. But he also has another 2 boo holes on the other side, so he can come out 3 sides to get you all 3 times if he wants to, which I think was a very good effect to have, because you expect the first one, you see it, you're not expecting the other 2, which is really good. And he says a lot of disturbing quotes like "Daddy" and "I love you," which was really disturbing, to say the least. But yeah, that was a good scene. I really enjoyed that scene. It was one of my favourite ones in the house. Now on to my favourite movie title, which I wish they made into a t-shirt, but for reasons, we all know why they couldn't. This is Shitty's Kids. Really great fun scene. As you enter through an arcade, it's a kid's birthday party that has gone wrong and the kids have gone crazy. They're all on, like, they just want blood, basically. They've gone mental, and we get 4 scares, which one is the princess party goer, which is to our right as we enter the room, that screams at us. Then there's a girl with a gun that comes out the other side that tries to shoot us. You don't see the next one all that often, which is a character with a bear on them, with a kid being bit. You don't see that one too much in the event. I saw this maybe once or twice as I went through. It seemed like a rare one. And then as you finish the scene, you think it's over, and then there's a really, really clever scene, which is a photo booth scene. There's a photo booth in front of you, it drops down, and the girl screams at us, and a puff of air shoots us in the face. And I think that was a really, really good way to end that scene, and a really good effect to have. Cult of the Beast Baby next. Simple scene, one room which had the most simplest of scares in, really creepy music playing with candle lights and lots of cloaked figures. And then all of a sudden, the music changes, and the lights flash and you see the scares in front of you, and then it goes back to calm. Really, really great effect, and I really enjoyed that. A lot of people really got scared through that because you didn't know where the scares are coming from because of the cloaked figures. And when I went through the first time, I got really disorientated in here. Really, really good scene for Cult of the Beast Baby. I really like that. Amazon Cannibals from Planet Hell gave us 3 scares from very, very tall ladies. They looked amazing. They had very scary faces. And as you come into the scene, there was one on the left what come at us. And then as you turn the corner, there was another 2 in quick succession to not miss you out. But the costumes in that were really good. And I thought they did a really good role in casting because them ladies were very, very tall and they made you feel very small. I'm not a tall guy anyway, but they made me feel very, very tiny in comparison to them. And then we go to the weakest scene, which I think is barbershop. I don't know how you feel about this scene. You go into the barbershop, there's a guy there, does his chopping motion to chop someone, and he pops out every 5 seconds, I reckon. It does the same thing, not scary in the least. It's overused. You've got to give it time to reset. If you keep coming out and doing it every 5 seconds, 1, it's boring for you, and 2, the people that are going to want to be scared are not going to be because they see it coming. And as you round the corner, there's another person that pops out that's had their head scalped and they just scream. Yet again, every 5 seconds, coming out of there screaming. So I think it was the weakest scene of the bunch, sadly. But you just have time to reset the scares. So then it gives, not everyone has to be scared like every time you've got to catch them. The best is the startle effect, and that didn't give you it. You saw it coming from a mile away. Midnight Snack 2, which is probably the second strongest scene in the house. A fantastic scene. I really wanted to get the t-shirt of this, but I opted for the Attack of the Swamp Yeti. We enter, we see a body that is being bitten and devoured by these furry little creatures that are jumping up and down on the body. And then a scientist comes straight from in front of us and tries to shoot the animals, but gives us a burst of air shot scare as he's shooting the gun. And then we head around the corner to what is quite possibly the best thing in this house, and that is the mummy Midnight Snack creature puppet. This thing is massive, and it just comes out at you, and the lighting and noise effects is really great scare. And everyone that was going through that behind me was just in awe of this puppet. You are not expecting this thing, this massive larger-than-life creature to be there. And I think they've done a great use of puppetry this year at the event, and that is one of their most amazing feats. And every time I went through, I was amazed by it, and I really enjoyed going through it for that alone. The last scene, obviously, is my favourite, and is Attack of the Swamp Yeti. I absolutely adore this scene. I think it's great, not only just for the set design and also the characters as well that are in it. This was the only scene in the house that gave me scares every time I went through it. So you come into the scene, we're in a forest, obviously where the campers are, and a Yeti comes straight at us from our left-hand side, very larger than life, very scary. There's also, as you turn the corner around the forest, another Yeti creature comes out, again, massive creature, gives you a massive startle scare. And shout out to obviously the Yeti that pointed at my t-shirt, because he obviously saw that I was wearing the Swamp Yeti t-shirt through it. And then as we think it's over, we come out of the house, all good, all clear. Nope, a Yeti monster comes at us from behind, massive creature scaring us. People were running out of this house at the end of it. Really great end to Slaughter Sinema. I think it was a great way to finish it off and a really good scene, a strong scene to end on. So all in all, amazing house for comedy. Not a lot for scares. You get a few scares for it, but again, this was more about the detail and what it represents. They obviously worked really hard on this house and really put a lot of heart into it, and I think they are very happy. They should be very happy with the finished product. A lot of the fans were really enjoying this house, and it's just a nice house to go through in the evening, just to have a little laugh. And it is, like I said, scary in some places, but not all. The only sad thing, Unmasking the Horror Tour, it was the most requested house for it, but sadly it wasn't on the itinerary. I understand why, because there wasn't a lot of Easter eggs or things to point out in the house. It was just specifically to go through the scenes and see what they were. But again, Slaughter Sinema, an amazing house. It was the first house I always went to every night, and it never disappointed me. Even though it wasn't high on my list at the end of the house, this year's event, it was still amazing. I mean, like I said, all the houses are clumped together in one amazing pile, and Slaughter Sinema was right up there. But there was another few houses that I'm going to go through later in this week that there were reasons why they were a bit better than Slaughter Sinema. But I really wasn't disappointed at all, don't get me wrong. It was an amazing house, and I really wish they did another one next year, maybe with different B-movies. But we're looking like we're getting the Hive 2 at some point, which is fine by me. I didn't mind the Hive one. I think it was in the same tent as it was for Slaughter Sinema, but we should be looking at some more B-movies in the recent future, especially as we seem to be going away from the IPs now, which is good. I prefer the own branded houses. But that's it for Slaughter Sinema. Tell me your thoughts on it, and we're going to be going through the other houses in our next videos. Thank you very much for sticking around, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.